Okay, I think we are live. Krista, if you can see this, if you can please give me a thumbs up in our document here, because I'm trying something new this time. I'm actually simulcasting to YouTube and to my Facebook page too. So I'm hoping that everything is happening here. So yeah, please just give me a little thumbs up, Krista, in our document if you can see me. But anyway, hope you guys all had a great holiday and. I don't know about you, but I am about ready for 2020 to be over. So that's why we're doing this. We're going to doing a little 2020 wrap up Q&A so that I can just answer all your questions about your websites and your digital marketing and all that good stuff. So I'm still not getting. Let me see here if I've got. Sorry, bear with me, guys. 1 second. If anyone's even seeing this, maybe I'm just talking to myself. Let's see here. I've got no comments coming through. Krista, is there any updates from you? I'm going to need to get confirmation before I can go forward. Okay. Yeah, I'm using a software program that's letting me stream to both places. So, and it's different. I see that there's people here, but I want to know if I'm okay, cool. We're all good. All right, cool. I feel like an idiot. I've just been talking to myself. All right. So anyway, keep the questions coming, guys. So just type them into the chat, and then Krista, my community manager, is going to be putting all the questions in there. So I'm not actually like looking at the chat log. So yeah, with this new software, I can't really even see like shout outs or where people are calling in for or coming in from, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna look to my document here. And yeah, and stay tuned next week. We're doing another live video on January 5th, I believe. Yeah, it's next Tuesday. I'm trying something new. I'm basically going to be, rather than doing a live website reviews or something one-on-one, I'm basically going to be bringing in an expert that we can talk about a topic with live so that not only can I interview him and we can kind of bounce ideas around for you guys, but we can also answer your questions about it. And this particular video is going to be all about the biggest ranking signals for ranking in local search. So this is the guy who writes that report every year that I always talk about, but we have him, getting it right from the horse's mouth. So you'll be able to come, you'll be able to listen to all that, answer, and ask any questions you want, and he'll be able to answer them for you. So, all right. So without any further ado, let's get on with today's questions, right? Okay, so the first one is from Redmond's Foods, and they say, we have nonstop performance issues with our site. Is the ocean theme for WordPress with Elementor a suitable replacement? So yeah, I don't know what exactly you're doing now where you're having nonstop performance issues. But yeah, I love WordPress with Elementor. The thing is, I think the ocean theme would be fine, but I tend to use the Hello theme because it's put out by the exact same people who do Elementor. So it's made right out of the box to play very nicely with it. So unless you have a reason to use the ocean theme, I would go with Elementor and then the Hello theme. That's probably going to be your best bet. Okay, next question is from Party Go Round. Hey, Party Go Round. We own a bounce house rental company, Jumping Castles for Kids. Always hear Wes talk about solving the problem. What am I solving? Yeah, so basically, yeah, every business solves a problem, right? For you, it's the problem is we want to have a great party for our kids. That's the problem. These don't have to be problems in the true sense of like, you know, our sink is clogged or we have termites. It can be something like that. Like we want to come up with something great for our kids' birthday party. What do we do? That's the problem. So then, and then the other problem could be, what are the problems that people will have with other bounce house companies? You know, is it the equipment is old? There's no one around to fix stuff as if it breaks. Think about that stuff. So first of all, think of the major problem you're solving, which is what do we do for the birthday party? And then secondly, you also want to answer the problem that they might encounter with your competition and how you are different. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Oh, Krista is saying I'm cutting off. You seem to be pausing. Um, can I get an update on that, Krista? Let me know if I'm still cutting out. And I feel like that might take a second to hear back because yeah, maybe the simulcasting isn't such a great idea. So yeah, let me know, Krista. And also, if you could let me know if you're seeing me in my on my Facebook page as well, that'd be really helpful. All right. Nothing like live video and dead air, guys, right? I don't know if anyone can even see me, so that's why. Um, okay, so now you're typing a new question, Krista. Can we? Can you let me know if I'm if I'm still being seen? That would be helpful to know. Okay, I'm just going to keep going because I have no idea. So anyway, the next question is from Brad Wolfgrim, and he says, I was told that having an FAQ section on my homepage is not good. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I don't know who told you that, Brad, but I disagree. I like having an FAQ section generally toward the bottom of the page because um, basically what you're doing is you're creating with that homepage, you're making the best case for working with you. One of the things that you want to give all the other information first, what you do, why it matters, benefits, testimonials. Then there's naturally going to be hesitations and objections that people have when it comes to working with you. So the FAQs is a fantastic place to address those. So these can either be actual FAQs as we know them to be, questions people ask you all the time. They can also be things that maybe people aren't actually asking you, but you know that they're objections people are likely to have, right? I don't know exactly, oh, you're a pest control company. So what are those hesitations? Might it be, I have a dog, I'm worried about the chemicals. And then your FAQ would write that out as a question, do you use harmful chemicals to my pet? And then you would just, assuming you don't, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how it works, but assuming your chemicals aren't harmful to pets, you would use that as the answer. And that's really good to have at least five, I would say 5 or 6 of your best FAQs and your best objection busters right on the homepage, and then round out, your FAQs page with all of them, like maybe 20 or so. Does that make sense? All right, cool. I still don't have an answer, Krista, if I'm cutting out or not. I need to know that. I think you're about to answer. Drum roll. Let's see if it's working. Nows? Okay, cool. Seem to be good now. All right, and let me know. I guess we got to work out something in the future, Krista, for kind of figuring this out like in a better way. So I don't. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. Anyway, okay, she says doing good. Cool. All right, so next we have from Aspire Fitness. Which software do you use for a spin to win lead magnet? So this is a great question that unfortunately I don't have an answer out of the box. This is something I've talked about on my channel before because lead magnets are really powerful. You need them to build your email list, which is critical for businesses, especially going into 2021. You need that email list that you can always market to. So the spin to win wheel is, you've probably seen it before. They're usually more on retail sites where you go there. There's usually some kind of a pop up where it's like a wheel of fortune basically, and it says, "Hey, put in your email address for a chance to spin the wheel to see what kind of offer or discount you're going to get." So the question is, what software do you use? I have never actually done this myself, and I don't know, but I do know there's a few categories here. The first one is basically a software as a service where it's a membership, right? You pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee to use it. The other version is more of a WordPress plugin, which you host that on your site. I would probably rather usually go with a software as a service version of that. It's generally going to have more troubleshooting and more customer support if anything goes wrong. Um, but you want to choose one where you can kind of control the variability. You can't really control like who's going to win and when, but you always can control the probability of people like because what I like to see people do on one of these wheels is include one space that's like a really good prize that's really going to entice people to do it. Because if it's just 5% off, free guide, 7% off, that's not likely to get the wheel moving. But if you have one, it's basically like, $100 gift card or something like that. And then you can control like something that's doable for you. Like one out of 100 people that spins will win that prize. You want to have that kind of control over it, if that makes sense. All right. So sorry, I can't give you specific software, but that's easily Googleable. That's a word, right? So you can figure that out. All right. Next we have. Um, I don't know who sent this one, but I'll use it anyway. How would you generate leads for a reupholstery shop targeting B2B? How would I generate leads for a reupholstery shop targeting business to business? So I think generally speaking, when you're talking business to business, LinkedIn is kind of the first thing I think of, but it's not always the best solution. It can be very expensive. So you could definitely, okay, I would probably start with SEO and Google Ads because I think when people need something reupholstered, that's a need they have that they're actually searching for, right? Um, you could do Facebook ads and just try to target it to people in the right business function, but that might be kind of hard. I would definitely do your keyword research and see if there's enough search volume for this. Um, and B2B, I have to wonder why it's limited to B2B. Maybe it's for hotels or something like kind of who that have a bigger need for more pieces being reupholstered. So basically, you would want to do a Google ad, keeping in mind most people are not going to type in anything like B2B reupholstery. That's just not how people's mind work. They're probably not going to think that far ahead. They're probably just going to do reupholstery. So your job then is to craft your Google ad, the title and description, to basically let them know that you're for business to business. Specifically, what kind of work do you do? Then anyone searching for reupholstery is the people that are not business to business. They're going to see that listing and not click on it, meaning you don't have to pay for it. But then the businesses that do, they will click on it probably because they know you specialize in them. And then those are the only ones you have to pay for. That's probably the best bet. I just off the top of my head. So hopefully that works out. Okay, the next question is from Chris Heidelbaugh. Hey, Chris. He says, what are your thoughts of using your personal name for a YouTube channel versus, say, The Deep End, just off the top of your head, right, as an agency owner? Should you be the company or the person? Okay, so this is a great question, and one that's obviously he's referencing this channel, how I used to be The Deep End because that used to be my business. So this is an interesting one because it really depends on, are you a personal brand or are you a brand name? And that's a bigger question than what your YouTube channel is. Your YouTube channel should generally be whatever your business name is, in my opinion. There might be some um, edge cases for maybe personalizing your YouTube channel when you wouldn't with the business, but I haven't seen that very much. So I would say, are you a personal business? Like I decided I was. The Deep End was my design firm that I used to have, where I would do web design, graphic design, web strategy, that kind of stuff, working with clients. At a certain point, I decided that that didn't make sense for where I want to go anymore. I want to be a personal business. I'm on YouTube as The Deep End, but people know me as me because that was kind of the little name that was popping up in the bottom, and they kind of knew me personally more than they knew the business. So I made a conscious decision to go with that because that was where I wanted to go as a business. So bigger question than just the YouTube channel, but I think you know the answer if you want to be a branded name or if you want to go as yourself. There's pros and cons to each. The con of going with a personal brand is it's hard to really grow outside of yourself. You can always have a team, but it's always going to be you as the face of the company versus if you want to build something that you can kind of step back from eventually, then it might make more sense to go as the company name. All right. So next question is from Joshua Cortez. Joshua says, "What does cash cow mean?" I don't know. I don't understand the question. I don't know what the question means, Joshua. Sorry about that. Okay. Next one is display ad good for lead generation? Are display ads good for lead generation? So I think with display ads, you're referring to there's YouTube display ads. Is that what you're talking about? Or do you just mean like display ad, like banner ads around the web? I don't generally use those in any of my use cases. I think there's probably a use for them, but are they good for lead generation? I would say probably not. I think for lead generation, you want to lead with content. It's not just like let's just say you're talking about a lead magnet. Okay. If you're trying to advertise a lead magnet, just having a banner ad somewhere is not going to do the trick. You need to have content. You need to lead with that. And then you need to push people toward the lead magnet. They're not going to give over their email information generally before they've seen something from you in most cases. So, yeah, I wouldn't go that route. I would try something else for sure. Okay. Next is from Leah Huynh. Oh, hey, Leah. How are you? If you have no followers or subscribers, so if you have no followers or subscribers or an email list, how do you get people to watch your Facebook Lives or YouTube Lives? Well, that's a loaded question because yeah, that's the thing. You kind of have to build an audience before. I would never attempt a live stream of any kind until I have an audience built up. So, what you're going to need, the way I treat these lives is basically I've already built up an audience, and this is my way of kind of connecting with you guys a little closer, right? Because I'm actually talking to you in the moment. So, what you want to do first, Leah, is create content that is more evergreen, that's going to attract people. You got to do things like do keyword research within YouTube, figure out what are people searching, and create content that people are going to find that way. They're going to discover through searches. And then when people do that, people find you through a search term, people are liking that video, then YouTube's going to start showing it to more people. And to be honest, you asked this about Facebook as well. I don't know about Facebook video as much as I do about YouTube video. Like Facebook video is a little nebulous to me still at this point. I'm giving it a try to see what happens because I feel like it might be a good opportunity. But I'll report back to you guys and let you know what I find out. But for YouTube, create that content, keyword rich, that people can find and discover you with. Then once you've got I would say maybe about 1,000 subscribers or so, that's when I would encourage you to start doing lives and really reach out and have that more personal connection with the people who are already following you. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah, you gotta do one before the other because if you do YouTube lives with no audience, no one's ever gonna see it, obviously, and then you're just kind of talking to yourself like I thought I was at the beginning of this one. All right. Next question is from Sergey Yusik. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. How to create a Facebook audience of people who are looking for destination wedding vendors. Facebook audience of people who are looking for destination wedding vendors. Okay, so that is an interesting one because it's hard. I know that you can target people who are happen to be visiting a certain location. I don't know about that. And obviously, you're probably not targeting any destination, right? You probably want people who are looking for a destination wedding in your area, I would assume. So, what I would, let's see, you could create kind of a custom audience of people who Oh, gee, this is actually a really tough one. I would probably need to spend a little bit of time with that to kind of work it out. But you can probably know that I'm thinking of YouTube ads with that custom audience. Man, I don't know, Sergey. I think, yeah, I think this one is a tough one that I would have to come back to, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Okay, so next one from Michelle Smith. How costly are Google Click ads? So assume you're talking about Google search ads. It totally depends. I know that's a horrible answer, Michelle, but it depends on how generally how profitable it ends up being because it's a capitalistic marketplace. If people know that a click is worth um, $1,000, then that's what it'll end up costing because it's an auction system. So that's why you see lawyers paying sometimes over lawyers and insurance companies are generally paying over $100 per click in some niches because it's going to lead to tens of thousands of dollars in revenue, so that's worth it for them and they're willing to pay that price. But then for someone who's like maybe renting uh, they're renting wedding photo booths or something, that's a lot less of a high ticket item, so maybe those clicks are $2 a click. I don't know, and it really depends on if you're selling a lead magnet kind of thing, or an actual dollar. Sorry, my dog's bumping into the tripod there, or if it's something high cost or low cost. So all kinds of factors play into it. I've seen cost per click well under $1, and again, I've seen them over 100. So without knowing your niche, and I may not even know what your niche is. So what I may not know where that would fall. So, but if you go through the exercise of going into Google, the keyword planner, you can put all those keywords in your budget, and it'll actually tell you what they think the cost per click is going to be. So I would definitely do that, and that's going to give you a better answer than I could there. All right. Next question is from Brittany de Maizière, I think. What's the best way to market our office? Best way to market our office as a whole, even though we have many different divisions. Um, so yeah, I would like to know what that actually is, like what kind of office you're talking about. Um, I'll just pretend you're a law firm for this example that specializes in maybe family law, maybe DUIs or something. I don't know. I'll just say those two things. You would probably want to promote each separately, right? Separate landing pages for each, and then you want to market them separately because people are searching for different things. So when you're talking about, Google ads, definitely they're looking for different things. And then if you're doing something like Facebook ads where you're putting yourself in front of them, you need to talk to people differently if they're looking for a DUI attorney or a family attorney. So I wouldn't even try to think of marketing your whole office as a whole if you provide drastically different services to pretty different clientele, right? You need to think of it separately, silos, right? Okay, hopefully that was helpful. All right. Next from Explanatory Live. Should you use ads to get people to your YouTube channel? Uh, okay, this is a good one. I've actually looked into this because when I was growing my YouTube channel, I thought, yeah, why not pay to get my new videos seen by more people, knowing that there's basically a snowball effect that happens with YouTube videos, right? If you get a lot of views in the first like 24 hours, that's a good signal to YouTube to show your video to more people. So I thought, why not just pay for those views, put it in front of people who are searching for a similar topic, and kind of get the ball rolling that way? Didn't work out very well, unfortunately. I wish it did. Like, that would be kind of a good silver bullet for people. It didn't work out very well for me, and I've heard from a lot of other people that it didn't really work out well for them either. So I think basically YouTube probably understands that they separate the two out. So just because you're getting a lot of views because it's an ad doesn't mean they're going to reward those paid views with organic views, if that makes sense. In fact, some people think this may be a little bit of a conspiracy theory, I don't know, but some people even think if YouTube knows you're going. Oops, sorry, camera cut out. All right, there we go. They know some people think that if YouTube knows that you're paying for views, they're going to stop showing or show it organically because they want you to keep paying for it. I don't know that that's true, but I've heard that be said. I think YouTube plays a bigger game, a better game than that. So, but anyway, in my experience, it doesn't work out very well. Sorry about that. Okay, from another one from Chris Heidelbaugh. He says, "What are your thoughts of being a generalist versus niche marketing?" Um, I'm not sure what the question is. I'm not sure if you're asking about my advice to give you as a marketer, providing your services to other people. I always think, and those are the kind of questions I don't generally get into on this channel. If I'm being honestly, there's a lot of channels that are teaching other marketers how to market. I'm really talking more to small business owners who are trying to do it themselves. But in general, I always prefer being more of a niche than a generalist. That's why I've made my niche, service businesses, because you can really dive in and become an expert in one thing. And your people are always going to pay more for someone who is a true expert in one thing versus, you know, jack of all trades, master of none, as they say. So, uh, okay, next question's from Tim Marangola. What do you recommend doing if you're getting a great click-through rate and low cost per click on social media ads, but little to no conversions? Okay, so you're getting really good click-through rates to your ads. That's a good thing, and for low money. But then they get there to where you're sending them, and they're not doing what you want them to do. That is a classic case of a disconnect between, or there's two things it could be. It could be a disconnect between what the ad is promising and what they're seeing on the page, or it could just be that the landing page isn't doing a very good job of persuading them. So here's a few things I would consider doing. First, make sure that the ad, sorry, that the landing page kind of continues that experience, right? So if your Facebook ad is using like an illustration, a cartoon as the image, then they get to your website and it's very traditional. It's an old, basically like a really beautiful photograph instead. That's a disconnect. Feels like a different brand, right? So people feel like they're in the wrong place. The next thing I would do is really check your landing page and see, like, if I was coming here for the first time, would I be inspired to take action here? Is it giving me enough information? Is it telling me why I would want to work with me, right? And you can always ask other people too. Just make sure you get people that are going to be honest with you. And you can always, I've got plenty of videos that talk all about landing pages and what converts on landing pages, what doesn't. I would take a look at some of those and see how your website actually stacks up to it, because it sounds like your ad's doing a good job. You just need to continue that experience through the landing page. All right, cool. Next question from David Victor. Hey, David, have you used Facebook ads for nonprofits? Have I done that? I don't remember. I don't think so. I've done very little work with profits, to be honest with you. Um, there's just people that specialize in that. I think you probably can do that. I don't see any reason why not, but it's going to have to be the same kind of funnel that I usually recommend, which is, I assume the ad is going to be kind of trying to get donations from people. That's kind of what I think of when I think of a nonprofit. So if that's the case, people are not unlikely to whip out their credit card the first time they see an ad. So you'd want to warm them up with these Facebook ads, like really pull at their, I mean, it sounds emotionally manipulative. I don't mean it to be, but pull at their heartstrings a little bit with what the cause is. Show a video about it. Then maybe show another video about how this nonprofit changed someone's life for the better. Then the third ad might be really hitting them up for the donation. Hopefully that makes sense. It definitely can work. I've just never done it myself. Okay. Next is from Dhananjay Shavan. Should I start a new channel or continue the same channel for my YouTube? My channel is mainly in local language, Hindi in India, and I want to develop it in English. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think if you're going to completely go over to English, that's fine. I think if you're going to split it down the middle, you probably want separate channels for each language. Because what's going to happen is if people, and by the way, be prepared if it's already in Hindi and you've got a lot of subscribers and you go over to English, you're going to get probably a lot of unsubscribes, and that's okay. But a lot of people probably will stay subscribed because I think a lot of people in India speak really good English. That doesn't sound like good English the way I said it. You know what I'm saying. They speak English well. So I think you'll probably, sorry, I've got something popping up on my screen here. You'll probably notice that a lot of people stay subscribed with that. So I would probably keep it and see how that works. But just I would you might want to get rid of some of your Hindi content just so English subscribers aren't going to go back and look at it and think it's not in English. I may not want to subscribe, if that makes sense. All right, cool. So the next question is another one from our friends at Party Go Round. I had a pixel set up, but then Facebook led me to set up another pixel through Google Tag Manager. Should I put both on my site? So yeah, Google Tag Manager, I don't know a whole lot about that, to be honest with you. So I think it's a separate thing. I think it's basically that's more for Google Ads. So Facebook led me to set up another pixel through Google Tag Manager. I think that's through for like custom conversions or something like that. So yeah, you can definitely have both on your site. The code is very minimal. You're fine to have both. Okay. The next one is from Chuck Bricker. Hey Chuck. He says, I always see Facebook ads about LinkedIn marketing strategies for B2B marketing. I'd like to mark I'd like to market trusted advisors, but very skeptical as I've never heard of anybody actually making money on LinkedIn. What are your thoughts? So let me break this down because I don't know if I'm quite understanding it yet. I always see Facebook ads about LinkedIn marketing strategies for B2B business to business marketing. Um, I'd like to market trusted advisors. I'm not understanding that part, but very skeptical. So, okay, here's the thing, Chuck. I think I'm half understanding your question. You're basically asking, is LinkedIn a viable marketing strategy for business to business? It totally is. In fact, it's probably one of the better ones. But I've heard very mixed things about using paid ads on LinkedIn. I've heard they're very expensive. Depending on what a customer is worth to you, may be worth the price. And that's the thing. It's expensive probably because at the end of the day, again, it's what I was talking about before. It's a capitalist marketplace where the auction will determine how expensive the ads are. So if it is worth, if getting a new client is worth $10,000 to you and you have to pay, $500 to get that client, I say that's well worth it, right? The rest is pure profit. So it can work, and there are many free ways of marketing on LinkedIn as well. Um, many ways of marketing for free on LinkedIn. Just do live videos there, do content marketing there. These are things that are really going to generally work better, I think, than paid ads. Oh, and the other thing that's interesting about LinkedIn ads too, there's two different kinds of ads, okay? There are ads as we know them, like think of them like Facebook ads or just on LinkedIn. The other is I think it's called like sponsored mail, sponsored messages, promoted message. I don't know. I don't advertise on LinkedIn, as you can tell, but it's basically you're paying to send a message directly to someone who you otherwise wouldn't be able to. So as long as you do your research and you know who your people are, but here's the thing, you got to reach out with value. I cannot stress that enough because I get so many messages on LinkedIn. Here's what not to do, guys. I'm going to get on my soapbox for just 1 second. If you're marketing on LinkedIn, do not add people to just then have them accept your invitation and then you immediately hit them up with a sales pitch. That never works. I immediately remove those connections every time it happens. So make sure you're leading with value first. You're giving something back. You're giving them some great content or something like that. What I like to do is add people on LinkedIn, ask nothing of them, and then I just keep putting out content, hoping that they'll see it and then I'll get a new basically, fan out of that, someone who likes my content, who then remembers me and wants to work with me. That's, I think, the best way to use LinkedIn, but there are definitely people who know the platform much better than I do. All right. Next from Silka C Day Spa. I'm not fond of being in front of the camera and I don't have an audience. Would you recommend starting with Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram? So if you don't want to be in front of the camera, then I would say YouTube is probably not going to be the best bet for you, right? Because you definitely want to be someplace where you're actually comfortable being. Sounds like YouTube's not that. So, and if you're a day spa, so I assume we're talking about, there's a few things we could be talking about here. Just growing an audience organically or paid ads. I would say if you're a day spa, your best bet is probably just going to be running some ads. I don't think that there's a whole lot of like upfront content you need to put in front of people before they're going to want to book a session. There might be some, but you can take care of that in your ads. So I would probably say Instagram ads would be your best bet. Show a lot of great footage of people enjoying themselves at the spa, show the treatments, that kind of thing. Run offers. That's the best thing too. Have a series of limited time offers and that you cycle between, right? So you run an ad saying, for this week only, take 20% off any service. Then the next week it's, half off facial or whatever it is. So you're basically having actual built-in scarcity, and it's not fake scarcity because you're actually pulling it. The only downside to this would be you're pulling Facebook or you're pulling these Instagram ads before they might have gotten a chance to work well. But if you're a local spa, and depending on how big your market is, I generally recommend going with a reach objective anyway, which just kind of means that they're just going to show it to as many people as they can in your area. I don't know how big your town is. Maybe if you're like in New York City, then you wouldn't want to do that. But if you're in a smaller market, that's generally how I recommend doing it. Okay, so next is from Yeser Marival. He says, how to restart or rebuild everything I did from scratch for a banned Facebook account. Um, Yikes, I don't know. I mean, I think you just got to start over. I don't think there's any real advice to give you there. Although I would first, before you start rebuilding everything, I'd reach out to Facebook for a manual review and ask why it was banned, and maybe they'll reinstate it because I've heard about this a lot. A lot of people get their Facebook ads banned or at least temporarily suspended because of something, just basically an automated flag was triggered somehow. And a lot of times they'll review your account and say, oh no, this shouldn't have been banned. Then they'll reinstate it. So get in touch with Facebook first. That's your first step. And then first of all, figure out what you did that got you banned, if it's real and you can't get it back, so you don't do it again, obviously. I'm sure you know that. And then you're just going to have to start rebuilding. Hopefully you've got some of your old content that you can start putting back there. Hopefully you have the original files where you just kind of schedule them out. You can do the Facebook Creator Studio. Just schedule like a few posts a day to kind of get you back to where you were. But unfortunately, I don't think there's any like silver bullet there. All right, well, hopefully you get that worked out. Okay, next is from Mark Butler. He says, are the browsers discontinuing the Facebook Pixel, therefore having to connect with Facebook through server side? Do you have any insight? So I think that what you might be referencing is this new Apple update, where I think Safari is basically, I had Matt Johnston last week on. We talked all about this Apple iOS 14 update. If you guys watched that video, it's basically going to mean some fairly bad things for Facebook advertising moving forward. It's not the apocalypse by any means, but it definitely limits your targeting options and how good your targeting is going to be with Facebook ads. We don't know exactly when this is hitting. It hasn't hit yet, but I think he mentioned as well that the Facebook pixel is like set to not really fire on Safari on desktop, which is definitely a bad thing. Meaning you're not going to be able to keep track of that traffic, and you can't retarget that traffic. Um, but he's so I think that browser is has plans for that. I don't think the other ones do yet. Therefore, having to connect with Facebook through server side. Do you have any thoughts? Yeah, so I think first of all, Mark, watch that video I did with Matt Johnston last week. It's called, so I think the video is like Apple versus Facebook ads, something like that. Basically, he recommends setting up something called CAPI um, on your website. Yeah, it's on your website that's going to allow Facebook to work better no matter what the situation. So watch that, take care of that, and I think that's going to take care of whatever can be taken care of. Like, there's only so much we can do with this. Apple's definitely throwing wrenches into the mix here. Okay, um, Joel Lohr. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Joel Lohr says, "What are some ways to target older seniors via Facebook? You can target via age. That's an easy one. So if you know your market is older, just target them through very basic age demographics. You can do that. You can choose like from this specific age to 65 and over. So if you're targeting older seniors, you'd probably just do 65 and up, and you're set. Okay. From Sarah Dog Training. Hey, he says, how do I increase my online course sales? I have a great YouTube channel with a great many videos and a great website. How do I increase my online course sales? So, yeah, I mean, this isn't, I know about this because I have an online course. It's not the type of thing I normally talk about on the channel. However, I'll just give you some quick advice. If you're doing an online course, you want to sell it through a webinar. That's the tried and true method. You get people on a webinar where you teach them kind of a high level overview of what your online course is going to teach them. And then you segue into actually selling the course. Now, if you have a little bit of money to invest in this for training, I highly recommend Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy. You can't get in right now. I don't think its enrollment is open now. You just get on the waiting list. It's a great course. I went through webinars that convert back when that was a thing. This is the new version of it. Worth every penny. Lots of great stuff, not only to how to develop your online course, sounds like maybe you've already taken care of that, but how to sell it with webinars, and you'll be good to go. And if you can't afford that, I would definitely look into Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. He's got a really good webinar formula that I think will do you wonders. That didn't make sense. That wasn't a real sentence. Okay. Next one is from Explanatory Live. Can you target ads to people inside Facebook groups? No, unfortunately, you can't do that. That's one thing that I wish you could do. But if it's your Facebook group, you obviously have a captive audience, and anything you post in there, people will see. But if it's targeting someone else's Facebook group, you really can't run ads to that. But I wouldn't be surprised if, due to this Apple thing, this whole Apple controversy that's happening, which, long story short, okay, they're basically limiting how. So if someone is on an Apple device, they are not tracking what you're doing with Facebook. However, Facebook can always capture what's happening within the platform itself. So I would not be surprised if Facebook is going to start rolling out new ways of targeting people that happen only within Facebook, including groups. So I bet you this will be coming out sometime this year. Just my prediction. Okay, from Justin Mezitin, we have, I volunteer with an international nonprofit. What's a good way to let people know we have content in multiple languages? Currently, there are languages in the header menu, which makes the header larger. I volunteer with an international nonprofit. What's a good way to let people know we have content in multiple languages? Okay, so I think what you should do. So first of all, like you probably have a main language that you cater to in your home country, right? So what I would do is, I'm not an expert in this. I'll just tell you that right now. I just know what I've seen before. I think there's probably plugins that can detect the country that people are in and basically translate it from there. Otherwise, what I might do is serve it up in the main language. Then if people are coming there and they basically can't read it, what are they going to do? They're going to mouse back up toward the back button. So you can have an exit intent pop up that says, do you want to translate to another language? And then have the button be right there of what language they want it to be in. So that's just off the top of my head. Probably a good way of handling that. Okay. Um, so next question, and this looks so far like our last one. So if you've got a question, you might want to get it in now. This is from English with Phil. He says, do you think Instagram is the future in 2021? Sad to see how few views YouTube channels get as opposed to mediocre Instagram pages. Okay, so I would push back on that a little bit, Phil. I would not say that YouTube channels always get less views than Instagram. My Instagram is like 14, like 1,500 people at this point. My YouTube is 125,000. So it's all about creating the right content for the right platform. If you're creating Instagram type content for YouTube, that's never going to work, but and vice versa. So I would say it really depends on what is your business more tailored to, what do your customers want to see more of, and what are you more likely to do, right? That's how I would look at that. I would say it's equally easy and equally difficult to grow either one of those platforms in 2021. So don't look at it that way. Think about what's the best platform for your business. English with Phil, I'm assuming maybe you teach people English, right, as a second language. If that's the case, and I think we've spoken before. So yeah, if that's the case, if you're teaching people English, I think um, YouTube is actually I would say that's the more natural fit, right? You're giving free English lessons on YouTube. I guess technically you could do the same thing on Instagram, but people are on Instagram to look at pretty photos. That you can maybe hit them up with a quick lesson, but that's not what they're there for. They are going to YouTube to learn English, I guarantee you that. So if you can come up with the right channel, with the right angle, and do your keyword research to really make it easy for people to find you based on what they're looking for, then that's a really, I won't say an easy way to grow a YouTube channel, but it can definitely be done that way. Okay? There are so many ways of growing a YouTube channel. I would definitely look at, there's a channel called Video Creators. I actually went through a program with them. They gave me a lot of great insights how to grow mine back in the day. They can give you a lot of good insight there as well. So I would start there. But yeah, don't give up YouTube because you think Instagram is easier, because I promise you it's not. Okay, sorry. So that may sound discouraging, but really I'm trying to encourage you with YouTube. All right. Next we have from Joe Allure. How do you strategize Facebook ads for longer buyers' journeys, like bigger ticket items like real estate or housing? Yeah. So Facebook ads, basically, if it's a higher ticket item, you got to do a bit of a funnel with that. So for real estate, I mean, that's basically if you're a realtor, right? You want to have some kind of connect type ad, right? It's just designed to connect with them. Usually a video, where it's, let's say people are, if they're in the market to buy a house, you want to create that video that self-selects people who are actually in the market to buy a house. So these could be people who are also selling a place, right? Those tend to do well on Facebook. Something like, 5 secrets for how to stage your house with what you've already got, something like that. Or if it's for buyers, it might be something like, if you're looking to buy a house in this, fill in the blank of the city right now, here are the top 3 neighborhoods for that are up and coming, or these are your best bets for um, you know, getting in on the ground floor of a market, or I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with an example, as you can see. But basically, you're trying to come up with a video title that is going to be interesting to your target market. They're going to see you on video. Then you're going to hit up those people who've watched that video with another authority building video, like maybe showing you being interviewed somewhere, or giving a talk somewhere, on a stage, something like that, or maybe even just testimonials from some of your happy clients. Then after that, you'll hit them up with maybe a listing ad. Okay, so they've already seen you in a few places. That tends to work better than just hitting them up right with a listing, right? Because I would imagine getting people in the door for real estate's a little hard, because I think most people know a realtor already. So you have to really overcome that barrier of making them trust you more than the realtor friend they already have. At least that's me. I know like 5 realtors already, and I'm going to have a hard time having to choose one of them when it comes time for me to buy and sell. So, um, yeah, so hopefully that gets you started on the right foot. Okay, uh, this one's from Tiffany Nicole Beauty. What tips do you have for a local beauty salon starting a YouTube to gain local clients? So, yeah, that's YouTube can be a tough one when you're doing local, because there's really no good way to have, like, when it's a beauty salon kind of thing. First of all, I'd have to ask you, what kind of content are you putting out? Is it like DIY beauty tips? Um, if so, you're naturally just going to attract people from everywhere, right? Like, I'm in Chicago. If I'm looking for beauty tips, I'm not typing in beauty tips Chicago, because that doesn't make any sense, right? So I think having a YouTube channel is a good idea, but I think for you, you have to think about it like you're just going to grow a big audience, and then you can hope to attract the people that are in your area. So that works better if you're in a kind of a bigger market, right? If you're in a little town in, Arkansas somewhere, you can have the biggest audience on YouTube, but if only, a tiny fraction of those people actually live in your town and can use you, that's never going to work all that well. Not to discourage you from starting the YouTube channel, could still be very beneficial, but let's say you lived in Chicago like I do. I could have all the business I wanted by doing my YouTube channel and then just working with local clients here. Because I probably have a lot of people, a good chunk of my audience probably just happens to be here. So I would say, does it make sense for you and your business to do it that way? Or would something like Instagram be a more natural fit for you? So that's just kind of my 2 cents there. Um, all right, so next is from Brandon Novin. Hey, Brandon. I have a photo booth business. I've been getting so many photo booth businesses lately. It's funny. I guess it's like a new kind of hot trend to start a business. So, anyway, I have a photo booth business and starting to get into photography. Would you recommend having 2 separate websites for SEO purposes, or combine the 2 businesses into one? So, okay, photo booth business over here, wedding photography, or are you, I assume, wedding photography, or you just mean photography, any kind of photography? I would say those are 2 different businesses. They're related because they're both photos. So let me think about this one for a second. I I might, in your case, because they are kind of related, I might give you the pass to have one website here. The caveat being, you've got to have separate landing pages for each. And I would also say you probably need to pick a lane for your main business, and that's your homepage. Okay, so what I wouldn't want is to see your homepage talking equally about photo booths and photography services. So, but it sounds like the photo booth thing is the bigger thing, and the photography services is more new. So that would mean the okay, works out better, I think, if you're a photographer and then you have a separate landing page for the photo booth than the other way around. So for that reason, if your photo booth business is the bigger business, I might be put off if I'm trying to hire a photographer. I'm going to come to your site and it's mostly about photo booth stuff. So for that reason, I think I'm going to retract my answer and say you should probably have two. All right. Um, Again, if it was the other way around, I would say the opposite. But yeah, sorry about that. You probably want to do two in that case. Okay. From Eric Biondi, where do you suggest redirecting clients to after they sign up for your lead magnet? Just to keep them, just let them keep clicking around the site. No, I would actually say, and this is, I'm guilty of this, I don't actually do this yet, but one of the best things to do after someone's opted into your lead magnet is to have a little quick survey. What, like a one question survey? What is the thing you want to know most about your audience? Do you want to know I like to know what their biggest problem is or what they want to learn from me most, possibly. So they've opted in, and then they're taken to that thank you page, the confirmation page. Underneath the confirmation message, I would say, like, if you could take 1 second to answer this one question, I'd be really grateful for it. And then just ask them one question with a multiple choice answer. Like, what's the one thing you're having the biggest problem with? Is it this, this, or this? That's going to help you immensely trying to get into their head in the future of knowing what is their biggest problem, or fill in the blank. It could be anything that you really want to know about your customers. Do that. Or the other thing you could do is lead them to maybe a page with all of your videos or your podcast if you have that. Just don't let them just keep clicking around the site. Send them somewhere that you would like them to go to further that relationship with you. That's what I would say. Okay. Next question is from Frank, just Frank. If you use a builder, say a Divi, which is a theme, to build websites for clients, how do you protect your API key? Yeah, this is the kind of question I'm not really qualified to answer, Frank. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't really know the answer to that question. Sorry about that. Okay, from Brian Hine. We recently checked out your latest Google Web Story video and added it to our site. Is it going to help our SEO with Google? So what Brian is referring to, it's a new feature. It's actually not that new, but no one's really using it yet. It's basically Google Stories, right? Like, it's another ripoff of Stories. Go figure. So this video shows you how you can use stories on your own website in your blog posts. And ostensibly to help with SEO. Yeah, and I do go into the different ways that that can help your SEO. So first of all, I would say one of the most, so it's interesting, those stories themselves can theoretically rank in Google searches for a search, right? Not every search is going to get that yet. Google basically serves up different kinds of content based on the searches. Some searches, they'll show a row of videos near the top. Some searches, they won't. Some searches, they'll show, the map listings. Some they won't. So it depends on what the search is. And I think there might have to be a certain number of stories associated with that search before that'll happen. But it gets interesting because there are a lot of ways this can help your SEO. One, if people get to that, let's say you embed one of these in your blog post, it's interesting for people. It's interactive. People can click through it, meaning it's going to result in more engagement and more dwell time on that page, and that helps SEO right there, right? The other way it can help is, how it's just with link building, right? A few years ago, people were doing infographics all over the place, and the idea being, I'm going to make this great infographic, and then I'm going to shop it around to all these blogs that they can use it on their site, and then I get a link back to my site for SEO. Infographics have kind of come and go a little bit. Like, they still kind of work. You don't hear about them as much now. These stories, though, I see a big opportunity in these stories being the new infographic. You can create it and you can shop it around in the same way, saying, hey, blog owner, I created this story that's super helpful about this topic. I'll write a really short little post to accompany it with the story, And then you'll just link back to my site in the bio. Sound good? You'll get some people a little bite on that because it's such a new, novel idea. So it can definitely help your SEO, not always directly, but through those ways. So, all right. Next up from Ladybug. Hey, Ladybug. Would you say Facebook is the best way to advertise my hiking tour business? It could be. I mean, there's really no way for me to know. I would say it's probably a good fit. You know, if people are, I actually had a coaching call today, a paid coaching call with someone doing boat tour, like boat charters out of Hilton Head, South Carolina. And he targets people on Facebook based on if they're visiting Hilton Head at the moment. You can target people like that. So I think that would be great, assuming your clientele is mostly out of town guests, like tourists. Yeah, you just target people who are there for, they're visiting, they don't live there. Or maybe you're targeting people who actually do live there, in which case you would just target everybody in your location, right? The other thing that off the top of my head would be, well, obviously Instagram ads. I bundle that together because it's the same company. So I would say Instagram ads might be even better than Facebook for that. The other thing would be Google ads if people might be searching that. I don't know if people would always search something like that. That might be the kind of thing that you need to like serve in front of them for them to even have the idea. All right. Next from Joe Allure, how often should you update your Google My Business profile? Does it help with SEO if you update it more frequently? That I don't know. I know there's posts on there that you can do. And I have not, to be honest with you, I've not been on Google My Business for a little while. I actually removed mine because I'm no longer a local business. So I got rid of mine. So I don't really know if they do posts anymore. I think I seem to remember they may have gotten rid of that because no one was really using it. I could be totally wrong. In terms of updating it, like updating your information on there, I don't know that that really has much effect. Just the act of updating it. I know much more important, like update it if it needs to be updated, right? Like if your information changes, obviously, make sure everything's filled out as completely as possible. But I wouldn't just go on there making updates for making updates sake. I think there's better use of your time, like updating your blog, making sure you got new content like that. Because there's only so many hours in the day, right? You got to make choices of what you're going to actually spend time updating and what you're not. I would say that's probably low priority. Okay, from the next one is from Filbert Pembani. Would you recommend a booking section on your photography website? Yeah, okay, this is a good question. A booking section, meaning a section where people can actually book a time with you. Um, this may be surprising. I would say probably not. Like maybe you can have it. Um, I wouldn't make a big deal about it on the website though, if I'm being quite honest, because I used to be a photographer in LA for a few years. I did actors' headshots. I actually shot Paula Abdul. Little known fact about me. But um, what I what I found out is people are not going to actually they're not going to book on your website generally. They want a consultation first, right? They're not unless you know that people do book sight unseen, but I think that's rare. I think they want to have the conversation with you first to know, is this guy the one I want to work with? That kind of thing. So if people will book without talking to you, then yes. If not, which is my assumption, and I've actually talked to photographers before who've had that section on their website, and their call to action said book a book a book a session, right? When I said, should you be booking a session or should you be booking a consultation? So I would say have it. Don't make a big deal about it unless people really want to do it without talking to you first. Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, we've been going for a little over an hour. Yeah, we'll just keep going for a little bit longer and see how we do. Maybe my battery is going to die out on my camera. I'm not sure. But all right, next one is from Kia Green. What are good paid traffic sites for push notifications for CPA marketing? good paid traffic sites for push notifications for CPA marketing. Kia, I don't think I get the question, unfortunately. Um, yeah, I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer. If you can clarify that for me, I can try to get to it after these few questions I have here. Next from Gavin Davies, how to make potential clients, how do we make potential clients understand that they need a website even though they have Facebook pages? So so again, I'm not really here to talk to marketers, like trying to sell your services to other businesses, but I will say, you know, everyone needs a website in 2021 because it's almost 2021. I think I can safely use the future tense there. But yeah, Facebook page is not a suitable replacement for a website. Facebook pages are pretty utilitarian, and you don't control the flow of a Facebook page. It's pretty much a warehouse for all your contact information, some of your content. You can't control the flow. You can't control the narrative. You can't be persuasive, really, on a Facebook page. So these are two things that work hand in hand, but one is not the other. So that's all you need to tell them. If any company going into 2021 that does not have a website is going to be looked at as not a real business. Sorry to say that, but these funnel builders that try to say you don't need a website, I think that's a little short-sighted, and I think it's basically them just trying to sell funnels. So, and your social media it's no replacement for a website. Your social media is there, the way I see it, to funnel people to your website where now you can have a conversation. Now you can talk to them in a way that matters. You can let them know that you understand their problem and how you solve it. These are our benefits. Here's our testimonials. And now, how about you set up an appointment or a consultation or you buy from us, right? So they're completely different things. Just make sure they understand that and you're good to go. Okay. From Clayton Markin, we have the question, can I get traffic to my website both through Google and Facebook? My business is helping people find assisted living and memory care. Absolutely. I highly recommend having a diversified approach to getting business, just because what if something happens to one of these platforms, which Facebook is under a little bit of attack right now from Apple. Like your ability to target is going to go away somewhat. We don't know exactly how bad it's going to be, if bad at all. Maybe we're all overreacting to it, but the point being, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. So you definitely want to do both, as long as people are searching in Google for what you offer, which for your assisted living, people definitely are, right? So that's a good thing. And then Facebook ads are definitely a good approach as well. You're going to have to be very delicate in your Facebook approach, though, just because I think it's a kind of a sensitive topic. And, Facebook kind of likes to have positive experiences. So you just have to be really careful in the language you use with your Facebook ads. You can't be too painful with it, I guess. Okay. Next up let's see, I know another one from Clayton Markin. Any tips of getting people to call through a landing page or website? So yeah, if that's your call to action, call us. First of all, you have to ask yourself, is that what people want to do? Do they want to just pick up the phone and call you, or do they want to dip their toe in with a contact form first, or do they want to schedule a call, something like that? So, I mean, tips to call, I would just say have a tap to call button for your mobile site. Make sure that's there, and then make sure that your phone number is prominently displayed on your website as well. Yeah, that's generally not the kind of thing that I see the most. Most people, they want to have they're doing research first. So, you can try though. Okay. Next is from Alex Shibu. Should I continue with email or Facebook ads? Email marketing doesn't seem to work for me as they think it's a scam. So, all right, hold on. It was water time. All right. So email marketing doesn't seem to work for me because they think it's a scam. I don't know why they think it's a scam, but that might have something to do with your approach to it. Um, the way I approach email marketing is you got to lead. I've said this so many times tonight. You've got to lead with value, right? You have to give people something that's going to help them, something actionable. What you can't do is get people on your email list and then just blast them with promotion, 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 buy, buy, buy. That doesn't work. That is going to get you a million unsubscribes, and that's actually going to have a lot of people flagging you as spam probably too. Um, but if you're leading with value, if you're giving them things that they can do on their own, that's how I like to think of it. So basically, you're getting them on your list. The first 3 times they hear from you, the first time should be to deliver the lead magnet, whatever they opted in for. Then the next one should be just some kind of a follow-up piece of advice or a tactic or a tip, or sending them to a blog post or to a video you did or a podcast episode you made, where you're giving them more tips of how they can further enhance what they learned with the lead magnet, right? You do that a few times. I don't see how they could think that's a scam, because you're just helping them through something DIY style. Then by the fourth time they hear from you, that's when you have permission to really sell your services. And if you've done your job right and you've helped them enough, there's no way they're going to think you're a scam, because now they're starting to trust you, right? You're not just popping in their inbox like a used car salesman, just peeking out behind a used Volvo saying, "Hey, want to buy a car." So that's the way to do it. That's the way I recommend doing it. But yeah, Facebook ads can work great with email marketing, by the way. You can do email marketing and then run Facebook ads to your list as well to really hit people up from all angles, depending on where they are. Because not everyone's going to read your emails, and those people might see your Facebook ads. So they can work hand in hand. Okay. Another one from Philbert. What's the best way to advertise my photography business and get more conversions to my local market? To advertise your photography business. Yeah, so I would say Facebook is a great way. I would say Google Ads or just good old-fashioned SEO is great as well. The only problem with SEO is obviously it takes a little bit of time to work. But the good news is most photography websites don't have great SEO. So your competition probably isn't really high, right? Because most photography websites are very image based, not a lot of words, not enough words for Google to grab onto. So if you, SEO is really just about doing things this much better than your stiffest competition. So I would definitely make a big push this year to get your SEO squared away. In the meantime, you can run Google ads to it, because people are definitely looking for photography, right? I would say that's going to work better in general than Facebook ads, just because you've got people over here who are actually searching for it versus people over here where you're trying to talk them into it, right? So I would start there, and then if you see a market, if you think that there's plenty of people who you could get through Facebook ads, then I would start doing that. But again, you're going to want to do a funnel. You're going to lead with value. Do a video that's going to attract those people somehow, like if it's, let's just say it's for wedding photography, right? You'd be something like 3 poses that your friends aren't all doing in their wedding photos, right? Because everyone's wedding photos are so the same. But here are 3 poses that you can do that are going to be a little more unique. Anyone who watches that video is probably a prime candidate to work with you. You'd retarget those views with a more direct offer to book a consultation with you. All right. Next question is, this is the follow-up from Clayton. Okay. Let me just go back and see the first question so I can get context here. Well, I guess okay. Never mind. So the follow-up is, I can push traffic but struggling with conversions. What tips can you give? Okay. So if you're struggling with conversions, that is we touched on this earlier, that is a problem with either it's either a disconnect from the ad to the landing page, meaning it doesn't feel the same. It's not delivering what the ad promised on. Either the messaging is off or the look is off. Like if it's a face, like the thing I said earlier, right? If it's a cartoon image as the graphic, and then they get to your website and it's a photograph, maybe it looks like a totally different company, that can scare people off. Or again, like I said before, the landing page might just not be doing a very good job of persuading them, right? So you want to do a good audit of the page, make sure it's persuasive, it's telling them everything they need to know, it's giving them all that information they need to feel good about taking the next step, which is scheduling a consultation with you. If you just bring them to the page and say, fill out the form, that's not enough, right? You got to give them the reasons to do it. So I would definitely start with that, and you should be in a much better position. Just really ask yourself, would I be enticed by this? And just be honest with yourself. Okay. All right. So that is all we've got here. Oh, I think we've got another question popping in here. I'll answer another question I got from YouTube while I wait for that. So this one is from Eden Powell, and it says, would Facebook ads for service-based businesses like an emergency plumber or glazier, I don't know what that, okay. So I was gonna say, would Facebook ads for service-based businesses like an emergency plumber be the right thing to do? Or just do Google ads or SEO? So yeah, Facebook ads can be great for service businesses, but what you're describing really is an emergency business. In that case, I don't recommend Facebook ads because people, when they're in an emergency, like they need a plumber, they need an exterminator, these kinds of things, they're not going to go to Facebook to see an ad to tell them who to go to. So in that case, that's when you want to go with Google ads, I think. And also, you want to have your SEO in a good place to where you're ranking. But with a lot of these kinds of businesses, you're not going to have a really good chance of ranking number one because with plumbers and stuff, the first 5 listings are generally going to be like Angie's List and Yelp and whatever those, plumber specific directory sites are. So I think Google ads are probably right on the money there. Actually, there's Google, what do they call it? Google service ads. I haven't talked about those in a while, but yeah, Google verified ads. It's basically like service providers. You need to register yourself with Google. They do a background check on you, and then you can qualify to be in those listings up at the top. I'm wondering if that's been discontinued though, because I feel like I haven't seen that in a while. That may be something that's not even around, but do some research into that. See if they still do. I think it was Google verified listings. You get a green check mark. You've got a really good placement right at the top, and then the only time you get charged is when you actually get a phone call, which is pretty good. The charge is fairly high. It depends on your market and what you do, but even if it's a $20 charge and it's someone calling you for emergency plumbing, you have a very good chance of converting that customer in or that call into a customer, and that $20 to get a new customer is probably worth it, right? So I would try that. Okay, follow-up question from Ladybug about her hiking business. Should I have the name of the business be keyword rich and a .com extension only for my website? All right. Yeah, so should I have the name of, I assume you're talking about the name of your business, but maybe you're talking about the name of your website. I would always name your website, name your website what your business name is. So if you're in a position now to name your business itself, yeah, I would make it branded and keyword rich. Okay, so it's a bit of a twofer. Don't just make it be, let's just say I'm thinking hiking. I'm from Boulder, Colorado originally. I'll say Boulder. So rather than Boulder hiking tours, I would probably brand it a little bit before that. Like come up with a name like Ladybug, Ladybug's. Well, then that gets really long though. Um, Maybe Boulder Hiking Tours actually isn't that bad. Maybe that's a fine business name. Yeah, the more I actually think that sounds okay. If no one else has that business name, I would go for that. That way, when people are searching in Google, you're having a keyword-rich domain name really does help in ranking. Still does now. I don't know if it will forever, but it still does today. But what you don't want is for that to be like Boulder Hiking Tours to be the name of your website. Then they get to your website and then it's called Ladybug's Hiking Tours. That's a disconnect. People are going to feel a little bamboozled, like that was tricky, right? And they're not going to be that interested anymore. So if you can rename your business or name it for the first time Boulder Hiking Tours or whatever city you're in, then I would go for that as long as it doesn't sound too generic and it has a nice ring to it. Okay. Um, from this one's from Brazil, from Danilo Mirando. Which event is best to register for trial? Conversion or traffic? Um, which event is best? So I'm not understanding the question. I think what you're trying to ask is what's the best objective for trying to get people to sign up for a free trial for your service on with Facebook ads? I'm going to assume that's what you mean. Conversion or traffic? It would be conversions. You know, you always want to go for the thing you're actually trying for, because if you optimize for the traffic objective, that's telling Google, that's telling Facebook, I want people to see this ad who are very likely to click through to my website, and that's where the story ends. What you really want them to do is say, you really want them to send you people who are likely to not only get to your website, but also convert into a lead by opting in for your free trial, right? So the only caveat to that being, if you don't get at least 50 events of that, if you don't have the budget big enough to get 50 instances of that every week, then you have to back off from it and go for the next objective back, which would be probably landing page views, not traffic, not just traffic. So yeah, you always want to make sure your budget's big enough to support what your objective is. Okay. I think that is going to do it, guys. My computer is about out of juice here. But anyway, hope I was able to answer your questions. Sorry for the ones I wasn't able to answer. I always try to be honest. If I don't have a good answer for something, I'm not going to steer you down the wrong path. But be sure to join us on us like I'm the royal we here. Join me next Tuesday. Actually, it is us because I have a guest. I have a guest coming on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about all the top ranking factors for ranking your business in local searches. You're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be live next Tuesday at noon. So like about 5 hours or 7 hours earlier than this one was. We're going to talk all about it. You're going to get all the best tips to know what you should be focusing on for your website and everything with your Google My Business and your links and your citations, all that good stuff. You're going to know what the most important stuff is to focus on and what's not important that you don't have to focus on. So be sure to join us for that live next Tuesday at noon Central Time. So anyway, guys, this has been fun. I love our time together in these live videos and really get a chance to chat with you guys. So thanks for coming and Happy New Year. 2020 was pretty bad for most of us, right? So let's brush that one off our shoulders. And I know 2021 is not going to be like a radical difference right off the bat, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? So here's to 2021, and I will see you guys next week. Happy New Year.